Good morning, I'm Tom at Pershore Sports and Prestige. Today we're doing a bit of a different video. We're going to talk about what to expect when you come and see us at the dealership, and also what you should be looking out for when you test drive one of our cars. So first of all, when you arrive at the dealership, if you know exactly what car it is you're after, walk straight over to that car. If you see it, go and get it. We'll be out straight to you. We'll be asking you some questions around what it is you're looking for. If you already know what it is you're looking for, why are you looking for that particular car? It's important for us to understand why you're looking at that car, because there may be something you haven't thought of, there may be some information that you don't have, or there may be a certain criterion which you're looking for which the car you thought had that criteria doesn't meet it. So when you come and test drive a car, one of the most important things you need to be thinking of is mechanics. It's going to be at the forefront of everybody's mind. Nobody wants to get caught out on a car mechanically. Now, we do things a little bit differently than other dealers. We will make sure that the car goes through a full pre-delivery inspection before it comes out to you. If it's in need of an MOT, i.e. it's got less than 6 months left, we'll make sure it's got a full 12 months MOT with no advisories, which is for your sanity and for your peace of mind as well. If it needs a service within the next 6 months, we'll service it as well. And the pre-delivery inspection, anything that brings up such as brakes, discs, pads, tyres, anything like that will get sorted for you. So we do put a little bit of a cushion in there. However, when you're test driving a car, it's important to think about the mechanics. So when you drive the car, like I am now, take it all the way up to its red line. So I'm now at 4,000 revs. Now I'm going to change gear. The reason you should do that is because when you put the engine under stress and under strain, if there are any weaknesses or any weak points in the engine, those things would normally produce a sound of some sort, and if something doesn't sound right, normally it isn't. Now, I drive every car when it comes into us, and I carry out this test on nearly every single vehicle. If I don't carry it out, somebody else does, and I will do these tests on every car we have. However, a used car is a used car, and it might not make the noise all the time, so there are things that we can miss. We are more than willing to look at issues that take place during the test drive, and if something happens that we think, oh, it's easily rectifiable, we'll rectify it. If we need to look at the car, we will look at the car. It's important also not to be put off too much by certain things you find out during a test drive. So if you get on a test drive and you think, this steering doesn't feel quite right, don't panic, don't get put off by it. It's something that we can look at. Anything on a test drive, not just steering, suspension or anything like that. The other thing to think about is your space. You might be looking at a bigger car and you've never driven that car before, and it might be an issue around whether you can fit people in the back, whether you feel comfortable driving the size of car that you're driving at the time, or if it's the opposite and you're going down, ask yourself the question, does the car still meet my expectations? Does the car still meet my needs? The salesman will be asking you these questions anyway, so we will be helping you make those decisions. But if you don't understand it, we can't understand it. So it's a good idea to think about those sort of things. In terms of testing the car's capabilities, if the car is a performance car and you've driven it before, drive it hard. I always tell people to drive the car like they stole it. Drive it as you normally would. Give it a good thrape. I do not mind going on a motorway with anybody. We're quite close to the M5 here, so we can get on a junction 7, go northbound up to 6, which is about 3 or 4 miles, turn around and come back. It gives you the opportunity to stretch the car, make sure that you're happy with how it performs, happy with how your seating position is. I'd say take your time during a test drive. There's a common misconception out there that when you get in a car with a salesman, they just want to rush you back to the dealership. That is the last thing we want to do. My job during a test drive is to help you make your decision, not push you into something that you don't want. The whole point of a test drive is to see if you like it, and if you don't like it, the test drive has still done its job because you've made a decision based on that test drive. The interior features of a car are also another a sticking point for some people. It's very difficult online to find out the exact spec of an exact car that you're looking at. Very difficult, and often even we might not know. We see so many different cars here, we can't tell you offhand whether one of the cars that we've got on our pitch has Bluetooth, for example, so we may need to do a bit of research around that as well. But there's no reason why we can't find out. You should always be asking the question. Another thing I would say is plan your test drive. So when you book a test drive with us, think about whether there's a specific route you want to go on. Think about questions to ask the salesman when you arrive. Talk about budget. A lot of the time I'll ask someone, what do you want for your part exchange? And they'll turn around and say, well, you tell me. That doesn't help me out. I'm trying to help you. So by you telling me what you'd like for it, I can immediately tell you whether you're in the right area, whether we might struggle, or whether you've got no chance at all. And that will cut out a lot of the waiting time that you might be asking. Surrounding that as well, there's a little bit of research you can do at home for how much your part exchange is worth. We all know that a part exchange will be worth less if you sell it to a trader than it will private. Understand that before you arrive at the dealership, because if you come with unrealistic expectations, you're going to get unrealistic answers. And by that I mean, if you come thinking your car is worth 10,000 and it's worth 6, there's going to be a huge problem, and we're never going to be able to overcome that issue simply because we've got too much of a gap. It's common for people to negotiate. I really don't mind a little bit of bartering. It's a little bit of sport. That's absolutely fine, as long as it's realistic. If you come with unrealistic ideas, we're never going to get anywhere, and it'll be the same wherever you go, not just for us. We have a really wide selection of vehicles, but they don't match everybody's expectations. They don't match everybody's needs. So if there is something that you'd like, but you think, oh, I really would like one of those, but they don't have one at the moment, or they have but it's just recently sold, we run a sourcing service whereby we can actually go and find the car that you want. That sourcing service is very, very good news for you if you run a busy lifestyle, because while you're at work, we're at work, but our job is to find you the car. So we'll do all the hard work, we'll do all the legwork. So we've gone through what you need to look for inside the car and when you're driving it. What about the outside? So around the outside of a used car, you want to be looking for anything that's major. When I say major, we want to be thinking very carefully about what's wear and tear. So minor stone chips, minor scrapes, minor scratches you would expect on a car of the age. Take into account the mileage as well on the vehicle. A particular place to look is the alloys. Check to see if there's no major curbing. Small amounts of curbing around the edge you can live with, but anything that's on the face of the alloy or that's heavily damaged along the rim is need to be sorted, which we would normally sort before it even hits our pitch. Common places for dents are along this edge here, which is where you will open for a car door in a car park. Again, around the back you want to look for any rear end damage. Normally jump out to you straight away. Take a look underneath as well. If you get underneath and have a look, any corrosion or any accident damage that's not obvious from the outside of the car but is from the inside. A lot of people will open the boot, have a look underneath the carpet and check for damage inside to see if it's got any weld marks or anything like that. We HPI all of our cars, so any accident damage would come up on the HPI and it simply wouldn't even make it to our site. Inside the car, you want to have a look around to see if you can find any major tears or anything on the seats. Again, we would sort normally any tears or any scrapes and scratches on any of the seats and any of the upholstery. Make sure all the dials and everything are present and there's nothing missing, and also check the mileage to make sure that the mileage correlates to what you understand it to be. So in summary, don't be afraid to ask any questions, do your research, think about what it is you want from your test drive. Don't be afraid to ask for some more time or for a specific route, and take good care in looking around the outside of the vehicle. We are here to help, that's the most important thing.